Hi everyone, today we're going to learn about pay slips. Now pay slips are things that you are definitely going to receive once you start working because you are legally entitled to them. Now there's certain information that all pay slips have to contain. So if you ever find yourself in a situation where your employer's either not giving you pay slips or your pay slip doesn't contain some of the information that we're about to go through, make sure you follow that up because you are entitled to receive them. So here is a real payslip that was received by somebody that I know. I've just changed their information, and I've changed the information of the business name, and I've made that bit up. But otherwise, it's 100% a real payslip. All the figures are real. Um, so every payslip, as I mentioned, has to contain particular information. So let's go through that information. It has to say your name. It has to have the employee's name. That way you know that it's your payslip. It also has to have the business's information. It has to have their business name and also their Australian business number, which is referred to as an ABN. It has to have dates that the payslip is for. So all of the information in this particular payslip is for the period the 19th of March 2020 to the 1st of April 2020. It has to say the type of employment that the person is in. So this particular person receives a wage, which means they get an hourly rate, and their pay is based on how many hours they work. So here in purple, that is how many hours that this particular person worked. So he worked 65 hours in that in this particular time period up here. And the rate is how much he receives per hour. So that's $34 an hour. And by multiplying those two together, this purple one and this green one, that's how we get this gross pay up here. Now that isn't how much John Smith gets to take home because tax has to come out of that. And that is tax here in orange. So that is referred to as PAYG, which means pay as you go. And that's because tax gets taken out every single time you get a pay slip, or every single time you get a pay, tax comes out. So it's your gross pay minus your tax, and that gives you your net pay, which is down here in green. And that is how much that John Smith will receive in his bank account on payday. So he'll receive $1,992. Now, superannuation is something that John receives on top of his pay. Now, all employees must receive super on top of their pay. The rate is currently 9.5%. Now, it's not something that gets taken away from your pay like tax. It's something that your employer must pay on top of. So in addition to your pay, they have to put this into a special savings account for you that you get to access when you're retired. So essentially, it's a way of you saving for your retirement. Every single time you get paid, some money will be put aside for you for later. Another interesting thing about this payslip, and all payslips, I just didn't mark it in a color, is that there'll be a section that says YTD. So that means yield to date. So that means this particular business has paid John Smith $44,364.90 from the beginning of the financial year to this date. So that's how much he's received from them as gross pay. And this amount here, this 9,804, is how much he has received, how much he has paid in tax from the start of the financial year. So that's the 1st of July. That's how much he's paid in tax. Okay, here we have another very real payslip. This particular person works in the hospitality industry instead, and they're in a different type of job to this one, although I gave them the same name. Anyway, so this payslip also has to, you'll notice that it has the employee's name, it has the employer's name and ABN, it has the dates of the pay period, just like the last one. This particular person receives a salary instead of a wage. So you'll notice there's no information in this section about rates or hours. Because they receive a salary, that's written here next to green. So they get $66,950 per year. But obviously, he doesn't receive that in one big lump sum. It gets broken down each week. So every week he'll receive this amount here that's next to my red arrow. So every week his gross pay is $1,287.50, but that's not how much he gets to take home because he does have to pay tax, which is here next to orange. So he has to pay $282 in tax for this week. So this bit here next to the green is how much he gets paid into his bank account. That's how much he gets to take home. And also, just like the last one, there's information about how much he's received in super. That's the little special savings account for when he retires. And there's also the year to date or yield to date section, but my face is covering that, but that is also in there. So moral of the story is every single time you receive a pay, you have to receive a pay slip as well that contains this information. It needs to be addressed to you. It needs to tell you where it's from, the time that it's for, what type of employment you're in, information about your pay rate, information about your gross pay, how much you've paid in tax, your super, and then most importantly, how much you get to take home. Anyway, thank you for watching.